Hello and welcome to the Algebra 1 Test 2 review. So, we have a couple problems to do. I'm pretty much only going to do one example out of each type because these are just long problems and it's all about taking your time and double checking your negative buttons. So, first things first, make sure you have a calculator right next to you because we are going to be using it. Second, let's go ahead and write down number 1. Number 1 is saying solve by factoring. So this is a factoring. And when I think of factoring, I think of tic-tac-toe. All right? So we have x squared minus 4x equals 4x. Well, this is going to be a very interesting problem and really easy, which I'm going to have to do a second one of these. Remember, whenever we're solving, we need the entire equation equal to 0. So we're going to subtract 4x. Okay, never mind. This does change it a lot. X squared minus 8x equals 0. Now remember, we usually like ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Well, we're missing that c. We're missing the number by itself. So I'm going to write 8x, or x squared minus 8x plus 0 equals 0. Just to make life easier. I know what my c is. Then I'm going to draw my tic-tac-toe table along with my times and plus. We know x squared goes in the center, plus 0 goes there. Negative 8 goes to the bottom. And 1 times 0 is 0. So what times what equals 0 but adds up to be negative 8? Well, we know we have to have a 0 there. Otherwise, we can't get to that. Which means we need a negative 8. So I'm going to put negative 8 here with an x and a 0x here. Then the Mackenzie or Milo rule, put an x and an x there. This has to be a 0 and that has to be a negative 8. So we can write down our two parentheses. We can say x minus 8 for the first one and x plus 0. From here, all we do is we split this. Well, one answer is x minus 8 equals 0, which means we add 8. X equals 8. And the other one, x plus 0 equals 0, which just means x equals 0. So there's our two answers, 8 and 0. I'm going to click the little plus symbol. First one I'm going to put 8. Second one 0. Hit submit. And we got it right. So that one wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Next one. This says quadratic with rational solutions. So that means you are not using any decimals whatsoever. Still, let's see here. Number 2. 15 w squared, which is the same thing as x, minus w minus 20 equals 3w squared. Remember, we need this to equal 0, so minus 3w squared. And we get 12w squared minus 1w minus 20 equals 0. Next, we're doing quadratic formula, so negative parentheses plus or minus the square root of parentheses squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. So, A, 12, B, negative 1, and C, negative 20. All right, I really hope you have your calculator and just ready to go. So, double negative 1s make a positive 1, plus or minus. Negative 1 times itself is 1. A negative times a positive times a negative is a positive. Oh my gosh, hold on, I got to open up my calculator. Fell asleep. 4 times 12 times 20. 960. Woo! Over 24. Then we can add those two things together. 961. You know what? I am just going to see, is it possible to do 961 square root? Oh, it is! Oh my gosh, that's making life so much easier. The square root of 961 is 31. Oh my gosh. That is so nice. Oh, just beautiful. 31 makes life so much easier. So now we did that. We have to split. So 1 plus 31 over 24 and 1 minus 31 over 24. We're going to do the 1 plus 31 side first. That's going to be 32 over 24. And then we just got to simplify. Well, I know I can cut them both in half. So half of 24 is 12. Half of 32 is 16. Oh, I can cut it by 4 this time. 4 over 3. There's one answer. So I'm going to go to the computer. 4 over 3. The second answer, 1 minus 31, is going to be negative 30 over 24. Once again, cut it in half. Negative 15 over 12. I can divide by 3. Negative 5 over 4. Submit. And there we go. It liked it. So that was the one where there was no decimals. You would have to leave it as those fractions, all right? And the last problem for this video, because quadratic equations are just long and tedious, is a decimal answer. Now, last time I did one of these on Delta Math, I realized that Delta Math would much rather you round to the 100th first, and then for your final answer, round to the 10th. So that's what I'm going to do. It says round to the nearest 10th, but I'm going to round to the nearest 100th first. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, a is that 1. It's invisible. B, 17, 17. And C, 48. And once again, it's literally just calculator work. A negative and a 17. Keep it a negative 17. Plus or minus the square root. 17 times 17, 289. A negative, positive, negative is a negative. 4 times 1 times 48 is 192 over 2. Now I'm going to do my subtraction. Negative 17 plus or minus the square root. 289 minus 192 is 97. Yep, that is definitely not a perfect square. Because 9 times 9 is 81 and 10 times 10 is 100. So the square root of 97, and like I said, I'm going to keep 2 numbers after the decimal first. Just because I keep finding out that it's weird rounding. So negative 17 plus or minus 9.84 over 2. And then just like the last one, we're still going to split it. 1 plus, 1 minus. So negative 17 plus 9.84 divided by 2. And negative 17 minus 9.84 divided by 2. So depending on what calculator you have to be careful typing this in. But just make sure you only do the addition first. So negative 17.16 divided by 2. Negative 3.6. And that's where I rounded it. Oh, let's hope it gets right. And this is one of those things where on Delta Math in your test, if you're off by like a 10th and you come and show me your work, I will be more than happy to just give you the points on the test. All right? So don't feel like, oh man, I rounded just off a little bit. No, don't worry about that. As long as you show me your work that you did it and it was just a small rounding error, I will give it to you. All right? The other one, negative 26.84 divided by 2. Can you guys still see that? Is negative 13.4. All right. Yes. All right. So Delta Math was okay with my answer because, like I said, it's all that rounding thing. They just don't want you to round to the very, very, very end. So hopefully this all helped you. If you have any other questions, please feel free to send me a message or remind, and I'll be more than happy to help you when I can. Thank you.